Hi guys, this is shocking, but maybe it shouldn't be surprising because we're talking about GB News here. I believe GB News and Talk TV exist to push right-wing economic policies, which benefit, of course, their owners, the rich. Lower taxation, smaller government, which of course benefits the most wealthy in society at the expense of everyone else. And here is an example. You're going to hear a commentator make a shocking statement, but this is what they're all about.
You've got 120 MPs. There's cracks in that rebel clause a lot anyway. You've got Nadia Watomi on the front of the Mirror, I think, saying that she's not going to vote for the bill. So all of these backbenchers who have stood up proudly to see a benefit system ballooning to points at which don't keep up with the actual prevalence rate of health-related, increases, and we've got an outlier in the OECD. People like James O'Brien are wrong. And the thing is, these backbench MPs are going to be regretting what they've done today after this, and I think we're going to see splits with their socialist campaign group and the rest of them looking like idiots.
It's just funny, he can't do anything and see it through. He can't do anything and see it through. So, we're in a situation now where welfare needs to be cut, Lewis, right? So you've got something like 650,000 people aged between 16 and 24 that are on some form of benefits, loads of them claiming that there's a big problem with mental health. 1 in 5 new cars on British roads is a motability vehicle, which is mental, really. Right. And a quarter of the British population is registered as disabled. And Keir Starmer is not doing much about that. What do you think? What would you say to those people, Lewis? How would you get them into work, get them off their backside?
Just starve them. I mean, that's what people have to do. That's what you got to do to people. You just can't give people money. Like when I moved to this country so many years ago, they said, you can't take any money. And I believed them. And I think it was a mistake by believing. You can't take any money. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to say, listen, we're not giving you any money. No. What else can you do? Shoot them? I mean, I suggest that, but I think that's maybe a bit strong.
Yeah, it's just not allowed these days.
Okay. I understand that this guy is supposed to be a comedian, but what he's doing is he's a conduit for the position of the owners of this channel. He's regurgitating exactly their thinking. Shoot them. Starve them. We're talking about the most vulnerable in society. And I keep coming back to this point. The rich hate 2 things. They hate paying taxes, and they hate those taxes going to fund the lives and the support for the most vulnerable in society. Not every rich person is like that, but the vast majority are. That's why they're against increases in taxation. That's why they hate the idea of the welfare state and the NHS. And what they do is they fund or they set up outlets like this in order to push these narratives that these people are spongers, these people are gaming the system, that these people are undeserving. When we hear about PIP, we constantly hear about, people need to be getting off PIP and into work. When, of course, PIP is not a work-related benefit. It's about creating a supporting environment for people to live. In some cases, people who are on PIP are working, and in many cases, that support they receive from the state helps them work, helps them stay in work. Should we be shocked by this commentator who's saying that they should be starved or they should be shot? It's shocking rhetoric, but it's exactly what the rich think. Maybe it's for attention, maybe it's for, I hate to say comic effect, but this is exactly how the rich think. And they were willing to use whatever rhetoric they can to convince ordinary people that their biggest problem is immigrants, or in this case, this week, people who are on benefits. I prefer to call them entitlements because that's what they are. They're not benefits, they're entitlements. They're things that people are entitled to because they are maintaining the social contract. You follow the rules, you follow the laws, and the government supports you. That's what it's all about. But the richest in society don't want a social contract. They want to see their taxes cut. They want to see regulations removed because the regulations are a cost for them, for their businesses, things like worker protections or environmental protections. And they love the idea of the likes of this guy on GB News or on Talk TV pushing the idea that people on benefits are a problem and they should be starved into work. I keep saying about how it's going to become more and more difficult to find jobs, but that's irrelevant. These people just hate the poor. They would prefer to see them dead. This guy even says it. This is dangerous rhetoric. This is a dangerous narrative, because this message is not for the rich in Britain. This is for ordinary people. Your biggest problem is not the richest people in society who are squirreling away their money into offshore bank accounts, or not paying their taxes, or benefiting from a corrupt system. No, your biggest problem is the person down the road who's disabled. And this has to be called out. Let me know